the wrong thing because I'm always
Never
I'm
do.
always careful. I'm always careful. Like I mean,
Never do.
it's crazy. All right. So like for me right now, I'm just clearing my head. Present. Like nothing else matters in the world right now. It's about being here, talking about getting listed. Okay. I'll remove myself from this crazy weather.
You're in a safe space, JJ. You are all good. When essence is there.
Hey, out of curiosity, what does JJ stand?
So JJ is Jonathan Joel,
Jonathan Joel?
and my father was friends with the writer of Good Times,
Okay.
and I'm the original Kid Dynamite. That's
Yeah.
the writer of Good Times took that, JJ, when I was a baby. He took that, and the name was Garrett. So,
Nice.
yeah. Well, so there's a term that is in real estate. It's called you have to list to last. Have you heard that?
Yeah, we do
List to last. You have to list to last.
Yeah.
So
this to land.
list to last.
Yeah.
To last in this business, you need to take listings.
Listings.
So listings are everything in this business because when you have a listing, business comes to you. And if you don't have a listing, it's really hard to generate that first piece of business, really hard. And in the environment that we're in right now, it's a challenging market, meaning there are less properties for sale. And we're in a world right now where people have very low interest rates. If they sell and they go buy something else, they're gonna have a higher interest rate.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a challenge that we have. Interest rates went down today.
How far?
I don't know. I saw the last.
What a point.
What's the rate?
Anything is good. It's a good conversation piece.
So how much is it?
It gained back whatever it lost.
What does that mean?
Oh, Sean.
No, what does that mean? What does that mean?
It gained back whatever was lost yesterday.
What does that mean?
Like,
No, but I don't know. What does that mean? What happened?
so yesterday.
What happened the day before yesterday?
Well, yesterday, very early morning, Australia did a rate hike.
Australia hiked their interest rate.
Correct.
Okay,
So that affected our mortgage-backed securities.
okay.
And they dropped, so the interest rate rose by.
So it made Australia more attractive for investors. So people sold bonds here and bought Australian bonds or
Maybe.
they raised their rates
Yeah,
over there.
right,
It's a more attractive investment.
right. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So if people sold bonds here, it would drive the interest rate higher.
Yeah.
That's what happened. There's an inverse relation to bonds and interest rates.
Yes,
right?
yes, there is.
But I don't want anyone to be afraid of getting a listing, getting in front of a seller. It's always, you're always nervous getting in front of a seller, always, because you're there. It's it's the most dollar productive thing that you can do. That all your calls every day are to get a listing appointment. That's all you're doing. And then when you finally get that listing appointment, it's like you need to sit in your car before you get out of it and play like the Rocky theme music or something. Whatever like gets you going. It's really important to get in the headspace before you walk in the front door. Confidence is everything. And it's natural to be a little nervous, when you're meeting someone. Totally natural. I mean, no matter how many listing appointments I go on, I'm still a little nervous before I walk in the door. But I be myself. And I show the listing presentation that we have is very market centered. Market meaning this office. So it's talking about Keller Williams and everything Keller Williams can provide. Like why should someone choose Keller Williams over any other company? We will go through that listing presentation. We're going to have a listing presentation workshops here constantly, so that everyone here can constantly improve their listing presentation. Marketing can put one together. I will make sure that you have a go-to that you need. If anyone here has a listing appointment, that is an immediate call to me or your mentor if you have one. And we will get you prepared for your listing appointment. That's the most important thing. Like writing an offer, going on a listing appointment, that's money. That's that's what we're here for. And I'm here to support you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm always going to go over just the process because we're selling houses. I mean, it's not rocket science. There's a lot of steps. And as you do this more and more, you'll get more familiar with the steps. I mean, someone puts their house on the market, they advertise it on the MLS, the buyer comes, writes an offer, property sells, right? So there's a lot of steps to get through that. But basically, our value to a seller is that we're going to market their property and make sure that every single buyer out there knows their property is for sale. So that is really important for a seller because what could happen is if the property is priced right, it will attract maybe more than one buyer, and then you go multiple offers. I'm sure you guys are seeing a lot of multiple offers. And when you have more than one buyer, you can have those buyers compete with each other and drive the price up, right? Which is the best thing that can happen. The worst thing that you guys can do is overprice the property. So it's really, really, really important to get a seller to price correctly. And I'm happy to go over comps with you guys. I'll show you how I do my comps. That's probably, so a seller, they might just be like, what's my house worth? And they might just want a number out of it. I very, very rarely will give a number. And the reason that I don't is because if another agent that they're talking to gives a higher number than me, they're going to go with that agent. And I just lost my listing. So, right? Because every seller wants to sell their house for the most money. And if another agent is saying, I can get you, 30% more than the number I'm giving, they're just going to go with the other agent. So I never give a number. Part of the listing presentation is what are they going to net, right? They're going to want to know what they net. So that's a little tricky because you can go to Pele at escrow and you can ask her to prepare a seller's net sheet to show them what they're going to get after they sell and pay off their loans and everything. So what I've done in the past is I've had Pele prepare 4 or 5 different net sheets with different prices. Yeah. So because your seller can be all over the place. And whatever number the seller gives me, I probably have that ready to go in my briefcase, right? And I'll pull that one out. I'll say, wow, you guessed it. That was what I was thinking also. But I like to have the seller pick the price. I'm going to guide them. So I'm going to do comps. I'll show you how I do comps. And you guys are going to get really familiar with MLS if you're not already. That's going to be where you're spending a lot of time on the MLS. And I'm going to go through comps. So what is a comp? A comp is a property that has recently sold, hopefully in the last 6 months. I don't think an appraiser can use a comp older than 6 months. Don, am I correct? Not more than 6 months.
Yeah.
In a volatile market, maybe they want to see 3 months. But our challenge is we need to find something that's sold within the past 6 months. Comparable. Comparable means similar area, similar zip code, similar amount of stories, similar amount of bedrooms, similar amount of bathrooms. If you're in a community that the homes look similar, like there's 4 or 5 different styles of home, like in a tract, that's very easy to comp. That's very easy. But when you're in Hollywood Hills or Beverly Hills, The numbers can be all over the board. It's not just about square footage, price per square. You can build a house for $600 a square foot. You can build a house for $3,000 a square foot. The most beautiful houses up here, I call it yacht material. So when you're on a yacht, you're looking at the materials they use to build that. They are the best in the world. Gorgeous, smooth, beautiful stones, whatever it is. I've seen houses that every room, every bathroom is like a yacht, like it's gorgeous. That is, people here spend that kind of money. So sometimes you'll meet an appraiser at a house and you'll throw out the word price per square foot. It freaks some appraisers out because you can't compare apples to apples. And if you're in a track home area, that's different. So
What's a track home area?
track home area. So like maybe Palmdale, you'll see like everything is built similar.
So cookie cutter area.
Cookie cutter areas, like you'll go on the MLS and you'll see a top down satellite view and all the roofs will be the same color, right? Everything looks like, and you zoom in and you'll see like 4 or 5 different types of home. They have a 5-bedroom model, a 4-bedroom model, 2 different 3-bedroom models, not like that. That's easier to comp. Also, when I do comps, I don't cross major streets. Zip codes, no. But let's talk about the listing the listing presentation. So I use this kind of folder. I used to use so much paper. Things have obviously gotten less paper, less. But it's almost, I would say almost impossible to do. It's almost impossible unless you are just really anti-paper. I use this classification folder. Every property that I work on, I use a folder like this, a classification folder. It just has different sections in it and it has 2-hole punch on the top. I used to use legal size because there were a lot more legal size papers when I started in real estate. Everyone seems to have migrated to a regular letter size. Some escrows still use legal size paper. But always,
It's like 8.5 by 11.
8.5 by 11 letter size, yeah. So sometimes you can find these on clearance at Office Depot for $1 sometimes, but they're usually like 3 something. If you can find a clearance, great. I get green because it's the color of money. Gets me excited. And so what this is, it's just me coming in. It looks very professional. I'm walking in with my folder. They see their address on it. I will usually write the name of the seller on the front of my folder so I don't forget their name in my meeting. And then I'll also ask them for their contact information, telephone, email address. I'll put it on there. Inside my front of my folder, I'll have a listing agreement. I'll have it pre-filled out listing agreement. I once went on a listing appointment here in Beverly Hills on Maple, and I pre-filled out my listing agreement and I had in there 5% commission. And we were going through the listing and he had a pen in his hand, he was signing and he goes, 5%, I thought commissions were 6%. It's like, right? So I just lost 1% of a $3 million listing.
No.
Because I didn't have it filled in. So always fill in 6%, always. And then you can cross it out, change it to 5 and initial it if you have to. But always ask, 6% is a standard commission. So I always fill in 6 now because of that. So real quick thinking on my toes, I thought, yeah, I gave your family member that number, I'm matching it for you. I was killing myself. I like to go into Word. Maybe you can use anything. I print a calendar. This is really helpful because on my calendar, I will put the deadlines for the MLS ads and the LA Times ads. Any place that you think you're going to advertise, you should put in there just what the time and the day the deadline is. So like here it says on Wednesday, there's a 5 p.m. for LA Times ads deadline. Friday, there's a 10 a.m. MLS ads due. And you're gonna be scheduling your photography. My whole conversation with the seller is we need to get the property photo ready. Like my job starts once the house is photo ready. And then I'll schedule my photographer, he'll come in, take pictures. I'll probably do a virtual tour. I don't know if you guys have seen online, you can walk through with your mouse, you can look all around, it's pretty awesome. There's also like a measuring tool. People love that because there's also a floor plan on it and you can move your furniture around. Pretty cool. So I have a printed listing agreement here. Now, most of the time, I would say 90 something % of the time, you are not going to use the printed listing agreement. You're going to, because what happens is you're going to have your listing appointment and then you're going to go back to your office and then you're going to prepare the listing agreement in zip forms online and you're going to send it to them for DocuSign. That's usually what happens. Everything I've done is digitally. The last time that I actually had something signed, I honestly can't even remember. Everything is DocuSign now. Now, I will say it's definitely at a disadvantage to buyers and sellers to have DocuSign because they are not reading through the contract as if we were sitting with them. When I used to go and sit with someone to fill out an offer, to fill out a listing, we would sit and go through every paragraph and I would discuss it exactly as I want to know what they're signing. Now everyone's just so used to clicking. They don't even know what they're signing. It's sad. That's the truth. Now we will go through the contract. We will get familiar with basically just what we need to be familiar with in order to explain it if someone has a question. But basically I have my pre-printed listing agreement. On this side, I will have copies of previous listings for that property. I might also have public records that I can reference from the MLS. Then obviously we're going to have to order a sign once we get our listing. I keep copies of ads that I place in the MLS and LA Times. I usually will have my comps here. Okay. And then in the back, I will have my listing input sheet. Now, something that's really cool about our office is that we have the ability ourselves to input our listings into the MLS. Like if you were at a different office that's very bureaucratic, they might make you fill this out and hand it to the listing coordinator in the office. And then they would take it and they would upload everything. We allow you to have full control over your listing here. So basically, I'll show you. Just so you guys know, I'm very tech, like. All right, now we don't want incognito. So the MLS. Does everyone have MLS access?
Yeah.
So it's disturbing. This is an incognito window and there are saved paths. How is that even possible? Okay. Not playing. Sorry, guys.
Create and we spread flyers and additional property.
Oh,
And then if you-
all right, everyone with me?
Oh, you have to-
The MLS homepage?
Yeah.
Great.
Register.
All right. So from here,
Password.
okay, so I just wanted to point out, in this help section right here, you go to help forms. Okay. Right here is where you can download the listing input forms. So, okay, so help forms. And then it takes you to this page and you have all these PDFs on the right side. You have residential, single family, condo, income property, a lease, land. We don't do mobile homes, huh? Any questions?
Can you show us again?
Absolutely. So basically just from the MLS homepage, you're gonna go help forms. And then going to, so if we're going on a listing appointment for a house, you're gonna open this PDF right here,
The first one.
the first one. And this is the single family input form. So this is, you're gonna print this, print it double-sided. Look, it's 29 pages. It's a lot. But what I do is I bring this with me
Residential single.
during photography. While the photographer is busy going around and doing his thing with his camera, I'm filling this out at the house. So on the paper, I'm checking the boxes and I'm going through this, like fireplace. So where is the fireplace? How many are there? So, the fireplace is usually in the living room, and then I'm
Excuse
looking-
me for interrupting. May
Please.
I? Yes, for us here, we are at home watching this on Zoom. We can't see anything from the screen. Is there any way that we can go through this again by sharing the screen so we can see it clearly?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, JJ.
I thought it was automatic.
So then, just a real quick question.
Okay, great. Sorry, I thought it was sharing. Thank you.
There we go.
So-
I hope we can go back maybe one step. I would really appreciate it.
Thank you. So basically what I was saying is from the MLS homepage, if you just click on help and then forms,
Michael.
that will take you to this page where on the right side, you have all these PDF forms for residential, single family, condo, income property. So this is what I'll print and I'll take with me photography day. Because I need all of this information in order to properly describe the property. So if I'm going to a condo, this is the PDF I'm gonna print. And then
We could use this information to put as much information on the MLS once we post it.
Exactly. Yes. If you're not 100% sure about the information for the MLS, don't even put it. Just leave it blank. Because we're representing this information. So you want to be sure. Number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms. Obviously, what's going to happen is when you submit a listing, when you go in to create one, it's going to pre-fill in what the public records are, but that's not necessarily correct. You might go into a condo that on public records say it's 2-bedroom, but it's actually 3. Because the 3rd bedroom was a living room and then you put up a wall. So now in order to be considered a bedroom, a property has to have a door and, a closet and a window. So if a room has a closet and a window, it's considered a bedroom. But here, what I was saying, like the fireplace, you can have a fireplace in the living room, you can have a fireplace also in the master bedroom or any bedroom. So, and is it gas or is it wood burning? So your fireplace. So there could be a fire pit. But this is what I'm spending my time on at the house while the photographer is there. Any questions about this?
Is the client with you when you're doing this?
The client can be.
Good or bad?
I have no problem with the client being there during photography. I usually like to be, hopefully I have a great photographer, and my photographer is like moving pillows and making sure the blinds are open and things, because a good photographer knows the shot that he's going to take. But I do like, I don't want to say hover over my photographer, I don't, but every room before he starts pressing the clicker, I want to make sure that there's no wrinkles in the bedspread. I want to make sure the blinds are up, windows are open, lights are on, outside lights are on. I want to make sure there's nothing on the floor. If there's anything in the house that's a nuisance or a visible problem, I'll just move it out and then I'll move it back in. So I'm just there just to help them set up the shot and make sure. Sometimes they don't care, I care, right? You care. Some people are so crazy about the pictures and how they represent the property. I give them credit because that's business. I always use a photographer. So the reason for that is because that's my image out there. So when people see my name and they see a property that I listed, they're always going to see great pictures of a property. I can't tell you, like I've seen pictures in the MLS where someone takes a picture out the car window and it's crooked and it shows the frame of the car window in the picture. I mean, crazy. You see it. I just like, how would that seller ever hire someone like that? I have no idea. So this talks about everything, full roof, all the information that you need to enter the listing. What's gonna happen is after you have that. Now, of course, your mentor or me, when you're ready to enter your listing, we can do that together. But it's basically under SLIM. I'll just show you a listing. So I have this listing right now by Burt Park. So this is what it looks like when you enter a listing. So you're entering. Here's the listing. So that's basically everything that you see when you pull up it's got the directions. This is everything that you're going to see when you pull the listing on the internet, right? So I like to take the printed part with me. When I get back to my computer, I can just copy it over to here. It makes life really easy. Slim, yeah. So this is under listings and Slim. And you can also upload your photos right here, either in Slim or right there for photos. So just a little bit more about getting ready for your listing. Okay, so that goes there. You're going to have directional signs, right? So if you're going to need signs, but I would say, I was crazy. Like when I started my career, I had 30 signs. 30 directional signs. That was my thing. I was promoting myself that way. Like that was my thing. I committed to myself to have an open house every Sunday. That was my prospect, right? I was open house. So I would put out 30 signs. It was crazy. My trunk was full, my back seats were full, the floors in the back seat were full. And I would do it myself. I'd go around and open up my signs, and it took a lot of time, but people would say, "Oh my God, I was following your signs for 2 miles." They'd come in. They'd be like, "I came here just to see what was going on." But so the signs have like a plastic pocket. So what I do is I will create two things for the pocket. One is for Sunday, open 2 to 5 or 1 to 4, depending on daylight savings. That's how the times change. And then 11 to 2, Tuesday is broker. So what I'll do is I'll take one of each of these and I'll just stick it in the pocket. And then the next time I go put my sign out, I'll just put this one in front. Just makes life easy. I don't even know if people are actually looking at this. I have no idea. It's kind of, they do. Okay, so I do that. You can do that too. What else? I have sign-in sheets. Now I am going to create there is a Google Drive that's shared with you guys. A Google Drive resources. Does everyone have access to that? So it wasn't in the welcome email. There was another email that went out that had Google Drive resources. So I went over to Brian's office, our transaction coordinator, and I asked him, how do people get that? He said there is a link that gets sent out to everybody. So there's a Google Drive resources. I'm going to be adding things to that. So like one thing I will be adding for sure is all the checklists, right? They're there, but I'm going to make sure they're the most updated ones. This is what I use for open house sign-in sheets. I have different varieties of them. I'll also upload everything I can for that. You're going to have, this is for your open houses, you're going to print property information that people can pick up. I would also suggest that we have a lender in the office, May. I would have her maybe print a marketing sheet with the interest rate, and how much the payments are. I think it's probably a really good thing when the buyer comes in that gives you something to talk about, is that you have a great lender that can get them into this property. And then hopefully you can write their offer. Okay. All right. So when we are ready to has everyone accessed CAR? Okay. So at car.org, this is where you access your contracts. Okay. Continue to transactions. So this is where you're going to access your contracts, and everything is here. Again, I will help you with when it's time to write an offer or take a listing. I will 100% help you drop everything. This is the most important thing. If you have an appointment coming, call me and tell me how fast you can make it here. So just from the homepage, basically if I was going on a new listing appointment, I would just hit new listing. I'm gonna put a 123 Maple Street, doesn't matter. It's a residential. And that's it. It's gonna create a new thing for me. Over here, don't worry, you guys, when you have so much information coming at you from all different places, it's really hard to keep track of everything. It's gonna take time, but it will start to make sense. Okay, just don't worry. I'm just showing you that it's here, so you'll remember there is something like that. So here under documents, there's a form called residential listing agreement. And this is the one that we're gonna be looking at. All right. So this is a listing agreement. Now, before I get into that, I just want to say at the appointment that you're going to meet the seller, you want to take notes on the property. These are the questions, like, how many parking spaces? If you're on a condo, it's really important. How many parking spaces are there? And I'm gonna upload these, and you guys will see them in the resources. Are the spaces tandem or side by side? What space numbers are they? Does the unit have storage? Does the building allow pets? Are there any rental restrictions? There's buildings that only allow, they won't allow you to rent out your unit maybe until you live there 1 year. So that's really important. What are the HOA fees? Obviously. Does the building have earthquake insurance? You want to know if there's any litigation against the building. Try to get the number to the HOA or management company. For houses, you want to ask the seller, what first attracted you to this property? Why did you buy it? And it might give you an idea to put in your description. That's pretty important. And then you want to also ask them what improvements they've made to the property since they bought it. You're going to run into people that bought the property 2 years ago and they think they're going to make $1 million on it, selling it right now. And then the question is, what did you do to the property since you bought it? And then they start humming and hawing and they can't really answer, what did they do? They didn't do anything. So some people do flip a house and they'll put a lot. Some people don't do anything. They think it's worth so much more than they just paid. The challenge for us as agents is we do comps, right? So if we're putting a property priced way higher than they just bought it for a year or two ago, we know that the other agents are going to comp it. They're going to see that recent sale. They're going to ask us, why are you asking so much more than they just paid? And we're going to run into this all the time. But you want to know how old the roof is, any water intrusion. We just went through major rains. The best time to buy a house is right after a rain because it never rains here and you don't know if there's any water intrusion issues. So if you can buy and inspect a house right after a rain, that is the best time in Southern California. If the plumbing is all copper, has the sewer line been replaced? You should really find out about the sewer line. Sometimes you might want to clean it out. The sewer line just takes all the waste out of the house. So you have incoming and outgoing. So coming into the house, you have water coming in, copper pipe, galvanized pipe, coming in, all cold water. Then the hot water goes to the water heater, then it goes inside the house. And then the toilets, the shower, the sinks, that all goes down into your waste lines and down a big 6-inch sewer line that goes out to the street. That 6-inch line that goes out to the street could have breaks and roots inside it. Roots just love water and they're always looking for water. If there's ever a little crack in a sewer line, roots will start to tell each other, hey, come here, I found some water. And then what happens is the root goes in and it grows and grows and grows and the pipe cracks. And then you have sewage leaking into the dirt. And it's normal, like that happens. So as a buyer's agent, one of your inspections needs to be a sewer inspection, always. So if I'm representing a buyer on a house, I want them to do a general inspection and I want them to do a sewer inspection, especially if there's a tree in front of the property. The worst offenders are ficus trees. Those are really aggressive roots. You see houses, they have like these 10-foot walls of tree. Those are ficus trees. Very aggressive. But for a house, generally you want to do general inspection, sewer. If there's a fireplace, you do a chimney inspection. And we'll talk about inspections. So right now we're talking to the seller. So you want to know, has the electrical been upgraded? Are you aware of any foundation issues? Is there anything else I should know about the property that I should disclose? And what are the good selling points that we haven't talked about yet? And the reason I'm asking is because if I know that there are issues in a property, every property has issues. It's the best thing that you can do is disclose them up front when you're talking to the buyer. Anything the buyer knows in the beginning, before they make their offer, they're totally cool. Once someone makes an offer, naturally, they feel like, did I pay too much? Is this the right house? Is something better going to come on the market? You know, those are all natural feelings. And anything new that you throw out there that's a negative, they're going to there's a possibility for them to freak out on. So anything that they know up front is totally cool. So if the seller has issues with certain things, I always say up front, like when I'm talking to the buyer, it's a great house, blah, blah, blah. All you have to do is this, this, and this, and it'll be perfect. And then they already know that's going to come up when they do their inspections, and they already knew that. So it's just, I like to avoid any obstacles. Okay, after you take the listing, and you took really good notes, you're going to do your walk through the property. And also what I do is, as I'm writing, show you. So as I'm walking through the house and I'm checking all the boxes, I'm also taking notes. So, you know, I pretend that I have a client, like I have a buyer that's on the East Coast, and they're trusting me to tell them everything about the property. So those are the notes I'm taking. So I'm talking about like the appliances that are in the kitchen. What are they? Are they Wolf, Range, Thermador, stainless steel? I look at the oven. Is it a self-cleaning oven? Because there's a checkbox for self-cleaning. Any condo I go into where I look at the microwave over the stove, I open the cabinet above to see if there's a vent that exhausts outside, or it's not. I can open the cabinet, it's just empty space, which means it's a recirculating filter in the microwave. So, you know, it's important. I always want to see a guest closet, hopefully. It's nice. But anyways, I take my notes here because when I go back to my computer and I'm transferring all this, I have to describe the property. Now, with ChatGPT, you can have an awesome description in 2 seconds. It's just like, whoa, it's like a blessing that, you know, we never had this before. But you also don't want it to sound like ChatGPT, right? So that's it. We want to describe it, and we're using emotions. We want to tug on emotions. So if you're describing a fireplace, cozy fireplace, warm living room, you're talking about a house filled with lights, it's tons of light. You know, you want those emotions to drag the buyer in. So I told you that my conversation is about getting the house photo ready. Okay, so I'm always keeping in the seller's mind to get the house photo ready. So clearing all the clutter, you know, you only have one chance to make a first impression, basically. So when someone is pulling up, we want curb appeal, and we want, you know, if you just look at the front landscaping, how does it look? Are there flowers? Are there weeds growing everywhere? Do trees need to be trimmed? You know that people are going to be looking all around the sides of the house, and the sides of the house are usually where people store cans of paint, ladders, hoses, cobwebs, dog poop, like there's stuff there. So we want that cleaned out, and people can get the gardener to do that. But we want to make sure all the light bulbs are working in the house. All the vents, we want those cleaned, wiped. You know, you can put a towel on a mop handle and just get everything cleaned up. It's really important. People like clean sells. It's like one of those subconscious things when you see clean. It's just a very attractive and gets more money. You know, you look at a property and you see just yuck everywhere. You feel like the house hasn't been kept up, they're not taking care of it, they're not putting money into it, and it's worth less, right? So that it's just so much money. If they say, what can I do to get the most money? It's a clean. And clean is different for everyone.
Paint too, paint the walls.
Paint, so, yeah, so. Like this is great. Like I always, you know, when I'm filling out my disclosures on a house, you know, I'm usually always writing stains in carpet, marks on the walls. Like this is good. I wouldn't have that comment. If you guys are ever in property by the 405 or 10 freeway or 110, whatever, if you're like, there's an air quality issue. So if you guys see like the vents on the wall or on the ceiling, if there's a vent on the wall, look at the ceiling right next to it. Sometimes it's black, right? So if you guys have a house that you're going to be listing and you see discoloration next to the vents, and you want to get that clean painted. You want
outside pollution.
it's outside air coming in. That's just, yeah, black. Yeah, it's just the tar. I can tell you when I put my directional signs out on the corners of houses, and I pick them up at the end of the day, I can have a clean sign and then it's like gritty, just from cars driving by. Okay, so now we need to discuss showings. How are you going to do showings? So I'm also discussing with the seller open houses. So I explained to them we're going to take Sunday open houses. Tuesday is caravan. In the valley, it's Friday. So if I have a listing in the valley, I might want to do a Tuesday and a Friday and a Sunday. Because I want to get the valley agents on Tuesday, on Friday. I want to get the city agents on Tuesday. And I want to get everyone on Sunday, right? So that's a strategy to have more buyers. And then copies of keys, alarm codes, are there dogs, cats, right? We have to make sure. Oh, also, I'm going to talk to the seller about putting away makeup, jewelry, firearms, medicine in the medicine cabinets, makeup. I tell them, I'm going to have my eye on everyone that comes in this house. But if someone walks in the bathroom and they lock the door behind them, there's nothing I can do. Like if they're going, they might go through your medicine cabinets. I don't have any control when someone goes in the bathroom and locks the door, right? And firearms, I had a client, he had a gun, he had a little gun safe. Before my open house, I took it out to my trunk and locked it in there.
Jeez.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, I just want to avoid any having a firearm stolen. But makeup is expensive. How much is a lipstick? How much is an eyeliner? 20 bucks.
30,
20.
30,
Exactly.
30.
So if someone takes a handful of those, oh my, you'll freak out.
Yeah.
But even costume jewelry, like, you know, just I tell my seller, just don't, anything that's small and pocketable, just don't, it shouldn't be here during open house. It's much easier during a showing to take someone around, but medicine in the medicine cabinets. Okay, so we're gonna have to put a sign on the property, don't forget. So signs, you know, they are a little costly. So I'd say, you know, maybe you don't need to order a sign right away. You can wait till you have a listing coming up, but then you do want to order it. Once you have something coming up, you want to get it ordered because it will take about a week to get. Question.
You normally stage it or you just show it with the furniture?
So it really depends on the property and the client's budget. If you
What
start,
should recommend to them?
I recommend having the house look the best it can to get the most money it can. Sometimes they have great stuff, it's just not displayed properly, and you can help them move stuff around and make it look more presentable. There are some sellers that are going to expect you to pay for it out of your pocket, right? Maybe other agents are promising that because it's a $10 million property in Beverly Hills.
Maybe, yeah.
And there are agents saying, I'll stage it for you. I think if you do that, so us as agents, all the money comes out of our pocket. Like if the house doesn't sell, we just lost all that money. So I think the conversation, if you're willing to do something like that, there needs to be a conversation about what happens if, God forbid, there are no buyers and I need to be reimbursed. So, I don't know. That's something we can talk about. And this is a business decision. You're in business, right? Your business, yeah.
And if it gets sold, they should give us the money or no?
That's also a conversation you can have,
Yeah.
that everything that you put out will be reimbursed. So usually an agent will not get reimbursed for their photography. Usually everything it costs you to sell a property, you're not gonna get reimbursed for. However, if you're putting out staging, you might find a stager that's willing to not get paid until close of escrow. And that they will bill escrow. That's possible. Or you'll find a stager that will only take a little money up front and then bill escrow at the end. But the seller will guarantee that if the house doesn't sell, they'll pay them. So something like that. There are stagers out there.
So just the staging, the seller should pay, but the rest for marketing, pictures,
That's out of our pockets, yeah.
but-
I mean, we're being paid a lot of money,
Yeah.
It has to go somewhere.
3 or 4 listings per month.
We're being paid a lot. I mean, let's be real. Yeah,
If property needs repairs,
yes.
does Keller Williams helps with the repairs? Put out
Keller Williams, no.
put out the money and then at the end gets deducted from the thing.
I don't
I
think,
heard different
okay,
companies.
so there are companies.
Yes,
That will help with that.
yes.
And they'll front the money.
I think I heard Keller has a program.
We do have a concierge program
Yes.
that will front the money and
Exactly.
it'll get paid at the end of escrow.
So should we tell them?
We can. I'll have that information for you.
Thank you.
I just haven't been here in a while, so, but yes, it's true. We do have that. I have to make sure they're still doing it.
Exactly.
Right. But yeah, there are companies that will take care of that. But it's a contract signed between them and the seller,
And the seller, yes.
right? So you'll make the introduction to the seller. Our
Exactly.
office has a concierge
The
program.
concierge, yes.
I can have them come here and talk to you about what they can do for you to
It's
fix
good
up
to
the
know.
house. Yeah,
Thank you.
for sure. So we probably at this point want to order a title report to make sure there's no clouds on title. We want to make sure that the seller is, the person that we're talking to has the authority to sell this property. There are some unscrupulous spouses out there who might try to sell a property without their spouse knowing about it. You never know. It happens. It happens.
For sure.
So what happens is we as agents should be going, we should be looking like Clearmark title. I'll always go Clearmark. So we have Clearmark title in this office. I will go on Clearmark Title's website and I will pull up the property and I will see who is the owner. And I will see, is it in the trust? If it's in a trust, who are the trustees? And that will be who I'm putting on the seller. Now, if I'm talking to, whoever I'm talking to, I need to know that every single seller is going to sign my listing agreement. You want to talk about anything from, do you want to?
Should I come up?
Yeah, it's title. It's title. We're talking title now.
I think the title aspect, we have this, okay, I'll come on.
Thanks.
JJ, welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Right.
I'm really excited that you're here. This is family, everyone here, like we all know each other, been supporting each other for a long time. So if you don't know me, I'm Jerry Ferris. I'm with Clearmark Title. I'm the in-house title guy. Full disclosure, Paul Morris is one of the owners of Clearmark Title. So like we want to make sure that we support you guys and everything is that you need, you're doing. So to your point, like we want to pull title, so you know that the property does belong to the person that's selling it. We had an issue a couple of weeks ago. It was interesting. They thought they sold it, but there was a third brother out there that was not named until it was almost too late, and we had to kind of track it down. It worked out, but That's why you need us. So like we can pull that going into it. Knowledge is power, so we can help you have the information that you need. We're here to support JJ and everybody else that's here. We also do other things too, and first, like a small plug, like we have, I printed a bunch over there. I don't know if anyone wants these, but these are these home buyers guides that we have. And so like I printed a bunch of them. In here, we'll explain to you or your client, like the process, like who's paying for what, like who pays for escrow, who pays for title, what those things even mean. So I'm happy to hand these out, or you could just stop and grab one on the way out. Like these are great. And then when it comes to like the other stuff, back to like in the beginning of the conversation about just getting clients, we're here to help you do that. Like we've got Title Toolbox. Again, that's something that it's every day is getting updated, but that's a tool for you guys to go in there and you had mentioned a net sheet. Like you could even plug in a net sheet on Title Toolbox that you can customize. So that way you can have an idea going into it, what the fees would look like. You could punch in the commissions, 6% would be great. But if they do change it, you could kind of tweak it in there. But we have those options so you could be the most informed when you go into one of these meetings. And then we have all these like silly little fun things that we like to have. When you do get your open house, we can set you up with this stuff. Like we've got, some people like to have their fancy little booties when they walk into the house. So we could prepare you guys with little booties. And then these are always great too. The feedback forms here, like, we could print these out for you guys all day long. And it's just like for you, when you have people come in to visit you.
Oh, great.
You can just track it, what little feedback and what they thought about the house or whatever it is. And great for follow-up and all of that good stuff too. So we have all of these resources. I'm here. We actually have a fun app. Has anyone downloaded our app yet? Like
No.
so we've got this cool app.
How do we find it?
Okay. So I'll show you. So it's technically called Property Force. So do we have time to download the app this second? If you download the app, go to the App Store, look up Property Force.
Force, FORCE.
Yeah, FORCE.
Okay.
And Zoomland, sorry that I'm not showing this on Zoom. I would be able to walk you through it. But once you download the Property Force app, they're going to ask you for a code. It's my last name. It's Ferris, like Ferris wheel. It's FERRIS 8386. That's the last 4 digits of my phone number.
Jerry, sorry, I have a question. Is it Property Force Mobile or just Property Force?
Yes, the Property Force Mobile.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Once you get in there and then you put Ferris 8386, it's going to give you some prompts. You could use
Say it again, Ferris?
Yeah, Ferris like Ferris wheels. F like Frank, ERRIS like Sam, 8386. And you could on the app, you can create a little walkable farm that gets saved into your database. There's a fun camera feature on here as well. While you're out in the field, you could actually take a picture of the property. I've done it with a client. We've gone to an open house. It wasn't the style, but they said, well, that's more of my style. Let's find some information on that house in real time. You can take a picture of that house. It'll give you all the data, the square footage, all of that stuff. You can have that in front of you, and you can go back to the house and say, hey, I have a real buyer, which we do all the time.
Can I see the app? please?
Yeah.
I cannot, my
Property
voice doesn't.
Force. Property Force.
It
Says Property Force Mobile.
But what-
8386.
This one is,
Yes, that's the one.
Yes. Property Force Mobile.
I don't have them.
Still loading for me.
Yeah.
It's still loading.
I don't think the app exists for Android.
I have it.
You're in? You already have it?
I love.
Okay, cool,
I
perfect.
don't know that. Oh.
Yeah. And then when you type in, like, you could even type in an address if you want to find out more about the address. Right
I'm
now.
accepting without reading.
Oh.
It's too long.
Yeah. And if you're checking off something and it's illegal and you're getting into trouble, please contact JJ. No, sorry.
What was that?
I'm just kidding. The legal stuff we've gone through. But like I said, Paul Morris is one of the investors in this company. So It's been vetted and he's really encouraging everyone to start using Property Force. I will be hosting soon a class on this whole app. But it's a really powerful tool that you can have in your hand where you can walk around and you can find out a ton of information about the neighborhood, the property, the turnover rate in that neighborhood. So if you are doing farming, it's important to figure out the turnover rate to see, how often people are moving.
Yesterday, I was talking about buying contact information. I think it was 12 cents a lead.
Mhm.
This is where, at clearmarktitle.com.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's 838.
Ferris.
yeah. It's-
Where did you put it here?
You'll see, right here, it's asking for the code.
Oh, okay.
There we go. And I'm in here all the time and so like you can just grab me, but like the desktop version is a little bit different, but we integrate the two together and that's Title Toolbox.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is good. Oh, this is good.
Thank you. Were you able to get in?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Very good.
Would you like to use this? Yes. Okay, so thank you very,
Oh,
very much. So how does everyone get in touch with you?
We should probably break it down.
We'll get your email.
Yeah.
Right, I need to get a marker. I'll be right back.
Gotcha. Are you guys able to get in?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, again to that. Okay.
Where do we?
This you put in your information. That's
Okay,
you.
that's us.
Okay, what did I do?
You're great. So like what you want to do is like here, this tells you all the stuff that you can do. If you needed a neighborhood or something.
Would you please?
And then like to get your farm.
Look, I have a pen. Do you want me?
Yeah, that's my buddy.
Do you want, like, I don't know how to change it.
Have to get to this.
But I see you all the time here.
Yeah, so I think you could delete it and then add it, but like he and I work together.
Maybe add contact.
Should I put my, where do we at?
What's your email address?
It's not compatible.
Change all you want.
Listings.
Oh.
Listing?
Listing. We all need them.
Where are you at?
It's almost over.
And then you put in your, this is your information.
Keep going, girl.
You got it. I wasn't invited.
ERRIS 838.
Is this it?
Yeah. Are you in? This is different.
How do we contact
On the
you?
laptop, you're gonna go to, it's Title Toolbox on the laptop, but on the mobile device, it's the Property Force one.
What kind of notification did we just send?
You should get an email.
Is this also in the Google store?
This is-
or just
Enter the
I think
code
it's just-
provided.
In the App Store. That's,
Code
yeah, F
Might have to ask them for a
E
website.
R I
I think
S
we only have it in the
8386. You should be good.
And how can I use it? Because it happens when I go for door knock, I wanna like check
So
it.
there's a camera feature on here. Once you get in, you're gonna have to put your information in there.
Uh-huh.
And then you put your information in.
You put here yes or no on here.
Yes, always yes. Don't read it.
Sign up with the website, because he has a Google phone.
Let me do that. Go to, let's, after this, I'll give you 2 seconds. We'll sit down. We'll do
What's
this.
your best email address?
It's Jerry, Jerry, at clearmarktitle.com. Write this down. On the phone.
Jerry, do you know why I'm getting this error when I draw the farm?
Let's see.
It's saying. Every time I do this, I've done it like 4 times. Okay, so there's,
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll just reapply first.
Okay, so title, it should be the go, it's so important. I want to make sure that the property is sellable,
Yeah.
right?
Anything else?
And now's the time to make sure. What time is it? 1:40. What time are we supposed to go to?
Probably 2 hours.
Schedule.
Only if it's,
I think we're done.
but if it's not, we don't go into the deep dive on
It's
it.
usually 2 hours.
Do we have to log in every time or it just stays?
You, it stays up.
Okay. So just about title. So I want you guys to know,
Address for you.
when I am,
Just a guess.
when I am preparing my listing, even
The
when
one that
I'm,
I want to know, do you think?
when I'm writing an offer,
511.
I need to know who the seller is when I'm writing my offer also. So I'll pull up the property and I'll see who is supposed to be signing the contract, because I'm gonna be putting their name on it. I was just involved in a deal 2 weeks ago where we wrote an offer. There were 2 people on title and the listing agent didn't know that. So what happened? The listing agent took a listing, one of the sellers signed, right? The other person probably knew about it, but I don't know if they did or not. But the listing agent had to take our offer and have it signed by the other person, right? We talked a little bit about commissions yesterday. So this is a potential lawsuit, maybe, like, I don't know. We wrote an offer relying on the MLS advertised commission. I guess we're not in lawsuit territory yet because basically the listing agent advertised a property that is not properly listed, so there is a little liability
So
there.
from the listing agent was from.
Listing agent was not a killer.
Oh, okay, got it.
Not a killer.
So if Keller Williams has to sue them, commission.
So we're usually, we don't want to start up with people because we want them to cooperate with us when we have a problem,
Correct.
right? So nobody wants to make problems because we all need to cooperate. But we want to, us as listing agents want to avoid any potential issue down the road. So I want to make sure that the property on listing is sellable. I want to pull the title, see what's recorded on the property. Now, when you're in escrow with a buyer, you're going to get a title report and you're going to see what's recorded on the property. There are usually like setbacks or there's easements for utilities. There'll be a utility pole easement. You can't, 5 foot on this side of the property or 6 foot on this side of the property. The LADWP or Southern California Edison has the right to go on the property to maintain their lines or whatever. So it's important to know what that is, because if you have a buyer who wants to build on the property, they need to know that they can't build on that portion. So, I'm sorry?
There's any liens on the.
Liens. So liens will get paid off. The seller is responsible to pay for them. And what else can appear on title? Easements can appear on title by an adjacent property owner. There might be a property owner next door who has the right to cross over your property driveway. So that would appear on title. Anything, Jerry, that you can think, like things that appear on title that there's sometimes something crazy can just appear on title.
Easements are very interesting too. That's another thing that comes up too.
Yeah.
You can share a driveway with a neighboring thought, but they own the driveway. You kind of need to understand, know what you're getting yourself.
Right.
And then we're providing, once, I guess the whole concept is like, we just show a through line of the ownership of the property from the time it was dirt to where it is today, just to make sure that you guys are buying what you think you're buying. And we're providing the insurance guaranteeing that in the event that something does come up. But there are a few strange things. I mean, there's a lot of weird, not often, it's rare, but it's good to have, it's good to know.
So for me, I want to make sure that I know that I'm dealing with the right people that have the authority to sign the contract. That's really what it comes down to. And that there's nothing really weird on title. Right? Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. Okay, so. Do you guys want to go through the listing agreement real quick? I don't know. It's pretty, we can, it's totally up to you. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you sign title, you sign the listing agreement, stay on the first of the month.
Yes.
And you know that the owner will not be ready for pictures.
Ah.
until 1 or 2 months after.
Great. Okay, thank you for asking.
Sure.
Sign the listing starting today. Okay, that is my advice. You want the listing to start today because when the neighbors start to see the painter coming and flowers going in and people start working on the house to clean it up, you never know what can happen. Someone's gonna come in, an agent's gonna drive by, they're gonna wanna write an offer, you're not involved anymore, right? The first thing you do before anyone starts coming to the house is get a listing. Now, the issue with that is we don't want the listing, we have to get the listing to the MLS within 24 hours, within 48 hours. Because we don't want to be in violation. Because we're an MLS member, we agree to list our properties right away. There is a form. This form is an MLS form. Remember, I went on the homepage, help forms. There is a form. And on the MLS, it is called. And I'm going to upload all my instructions for you guys. The form is called Clause CS, coming soon. Okay, so this might not be the form you're going to use yet. Coming soon is your listing is done, your photos are done, you're doing this, and days on market are 0, but you're not ready for fully. It's like a pre-marketing kind of thing. But there is a form. I want a screen share. Are we back screen share?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a form called seller instruction to exclude listings from the MLS. Okay, and days on market. So this is the form that you would include with your listing to not have it go into the MLS yet.
Makes it off market, right?
This is an off-market listing, a pocket listing. Now it's one page, so that's good. The property address will go in, multiple listing service, so that's us, Claw. A mandatory submission to the MLS. The MLS requires brokers participating in the service to submit all exclusive right to sell listings to the MLS within 1 business day. Okay, this is a national association of realtor rule that when you take a listing, you're supposed to put it in the MLS within 1 business day. Okay, now I am going to check a box here and say that I'll probably. So there's an option here during the entire listing provided for in the agreement that you won't list it at all during the entire listing agreement time. You can do for a period of X amount of days. You can do until a certain date. I'm probably going to use this one. Do not market the property immediately. Begin marketing to the public on. It's asking for a date, but instead of a date, I'm going to try to type in something. And just like it's a little glitch, you can type here, photo ready.
Okay.
What did you write?
Do not market the property immediately. Begin marketing to the public on photo ready day. Photo ready day. So, right? Whatever, you can put in some little verbiage there. I don't want my listing to start until it's photo ready.
This once again.
Huh?
It is.
So what I want is a signed listing. So I don't want anyone stealing my listing or the chance for someone else to come in and grab it and put an offer in. So I want to be protected, but it's not going in the MLS yet. This is the form. It's called seller right to exclude. Seller instruction to exclude.
How is the 3? Would you please explain about number 3? The MLS requires or does not require.
So all MLSs require, this is called the MLS Clear Cooperation Policy. That's a nationwide policy. So every MLS will require.
So we should you don't.
You're never gonna check that box does not require. Every MLS requires. I don't know why the box is there. So maybe there might be some MLSs that are not board members. That could be. Because this is an association of realtor kind of thing. But then I don't even know how they'd have access to this form. Yeah.
So the seller has to sign this, right?
The seller's gonna sign this.
To sign this.
Seller signs and we sign. And you're protected. So
this doesn't give the actual days. So It could be
It can.
2 weeks, it could be 3 weeks.
Depends how you fill it out. So
Okay.
it says for a period here, it's for a period of X amount of calendar days. So you can put 10 days, but here you can put an actual date. Or you can choose during the entire listing period that you're not gonna put it in the MLS. Or you can do like I do until it's photo.
Photo ready. So photo ready could be 15 days, 21 days.
No, if you're using the coming soon from the MLS,
Right.
which is in the help forms place, coming soon is a pre-advertising. When you take a listing and you put it in the MLS, it's gonna ask you when you press, or you're filling out the last page, it's gonna say, do you want this to be marketed as coming soon? And only agents will have access to coming soon listings.
Yes.
So it won't propagate to other websites. So we have, our MLS has agreements with all different websites like Zillow, Trulia, that they will feed to them, our properties. Coming soon will not feed.
Does it make sense to put coming soon? Christine was saying, I don't know why people put coming soon, blah, blah. I mean, I didn't know about this
From a business point of view,
Right.
I want to make money. Okay. I really want to sell that property. And my allegiance is always to the seller to get them the most money. I personally have not used the coming soon marketing. But there's always a reason that you might want to. Right? If, for instance, you have a seller that does not want to go public, but they're willing to let agents know, you can use the coming soon as a marketing tactic. And then that will blast to all the agents and it won't go to the public. You can have that conversation.
But it won't have.
You have 21 days.
20, oh, okay.
You can only be coming soon for 21 days.
21 days.
So you could technically take a listing for 21 days, right? And only have it coming soon and never go. Now, what I would do is I would have a listing for 90. If that was the case and the seller didn't want to put it, I would try to get a listing for 60 days and have it coming soon 21, but then cancel the listing. You don't want to cancel, you want to withdraw. You got to be careful how it's done. You don't want
So
to.
it doesn't show as release.
You don't want to violate anything and you don't want it to go in the MLS as full listing, right?
Yeah.
So we just have to do it carefully in the right way. But always know a seller's gonna get the most money when the property is fully marketed and everyone knows that. That's always, yeah.
And JJ, how do we find, is there a way to find out when a listing expires?
No.
Okay.
So when we enter our listing, it asks us for the expiration date. We don't know when another agent's listing is going to expire.
Okay.
They purposely do that because they don't want you marketing
Yeah.
other agents' listings,
Exactly.
right? If everyone knows there's a listing coming up in a week or two,
You would chase it.
you might chase it.
Yeah.
They don't want to encourage that because it's against the code of ethics.
Okay.
You can't solicit another agent's client. So I'm not allowed to, if my friend lists their property with someone, they're not my friend anymore.
Mm.
If my friend lists the property with another agent, I'm not supposed to call my friend and say I have a buyer.
You have to call
I have to call the agent. I have to go through the agent now that's because I'm a realtor.
Mhm.
Okay, in commercial, you might be dealing,
That's what's happening if someone does it, because I got a listing like a few
Yeah.
months ago.
yeah,
And one of the agents in the area, she's very strong. She called my client and she is like, what's going on? How come you gave her this listing? Blah, blah, blah.
right.
She was like really like nasty with him.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
And he called me about it like a few times. And I
So-
never talked to her, but
Can you report them to the?
can I do, like, I didn't do anything, but it still like bothered me because
Okay.
we're in the same area.
Right.
And I'm going to her like open house and stuff.
We're swimming with sharks.
I always put like my sunglasses because I kind of feel she's the one that needs to feel like that, not me. And then like here's my
You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, it was a free choice.
Right, so the truth is we are in shark waters.
Yeah.
Right, we're talking about large dollars and everyone's fighting for that dollar. So we have to be a shark. We are sharks.
Should I tell her anything or complain about
Okay,
her?
so-
Just let it be and forget.
I really don't like to go that route because I'm gonna need that agent in the future someday.
Right.
Yeah,
So even if I'm having a problem with another agent and whatever that problem is, I'm a little afraid to call the office manager to get them involved. Because that agent is gonna know that the office manager is now watching them because of me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need that agent in the future. They're
Okay.
gonna have a listing, whether it's not this year, next year, could be 8 years from now.
And working in the same
And-
neighborhood.
and I have- My sister's trying to buy a property and she needs that property. It meets all her criteria. She's in love with it. But that agent's not gonna accept my offer because of what I did. Right?
So
So
I just let it be like.
right now, if I am going on a listing appointment in Encino, and there are, say, 3 top Encino agents, right? And the seller is saying, you know, why shouldn't I use the local Encino agent? And why should I use you? Well, first of all, Beverly Hills, of course you should use me. But secondly, because those local agents have enemies that in their territory, that if you use that agent, there are maybe 3 or 4 agents that aren't gonna show the property, right? But if you use me, everyone's gonna show the property.
My client was very like sure that he wants to choose me, but she was the one that called him later and she like.
Yeah, no, there are agents like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, they just are. So, okay, as far as reporting someone, they really have to make a very clear violation of code of ethics. It has to be clear and it has to be, I mean, I don't know if they'll even get in trouble the first time. It might be a warning on their record. So they would have to have multiple offenses. Obviously, they need to have one in order to kickstart that series, but if you're on the ethics committee at the Board of Realtors, it has to be very clear and defined of which article that they are violating, how was the violation, how did it occur? And there's a meeting and another meeting and another meeting. It's a very long process. So it's better to let it be, really, unless this agent,
Take her out for drinks.
unless this agent is constantly doing it. Look, if it happens to you, if it happens to 5 other agents and all of you are on board to all go together and file complaints with multiple occurrences of that, that's different.
Yeah, okay.
Now, one more, I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
So most like duplexes and triplexes.
Okay,
Landlord lists with one for 1 unit. Another unit becomes available
are we talking about leasing?
on a lease.
On a lease.
Would the first listing agent have right to all of the available properties on site, or it's just that exclusive apartment?
So if we are putting a lease listing into the MLS, it's usually for 1 unit.
Okay. And if another unit is available,
If another unit is available, you're either gonna have to put another listing in, or you can say in your lease listing, other units available.
have you seen scenarios where landlords will use 2 renters on one property? Say like.
You can so it's called a co-listing.
Okay.
So you can co-list 2 agents in the same office, or you can co-list 2 different brokerages with agents. And then there's a form for that. And it's actually in the listing agreement. Quick question. I just want to run through the listing agreement real quick, just so you're familiar with it. Was there a question?
I was gonna say, do you know, normally what do you do if they only want to give you a 90-day listing? Do you,
Oh,
you get it or you say, oh, it has to be 6
if
months?
someone wants to give me a 10-day listing, I'm okay with it, or a 30-day listing, I'm okay with it. Because everyone that came and saw the property, I'm gonna actually show you right. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, if you put the listing coming soon in that 21 days, I was wondering if days on market counts or not.
If it's coming soon, it does not count on days on market.
Until 21 days. And if you withdraw it,
Up to 21 days. When it goes on to the MLS day 22, it will say days on market 0.
okay. And if you withdraw that, anyone can see that from the history of the MLS or no?
I believe yes. That's a great question. I don't want to say I'm firm in my answer. I personally have never seen a coming soon listing, probably because it's not in the search boxes on the MLS. You can search,
The address.
You can, I don't know if there's a checkbox for coming soon. Maybe
There's
there, yeah, maybe there.
There is the first one.
So I've never searched it and seen, I've never searched it and seen an old coming soon, is what I'm trying to say. I've only seen the actual active coming soon, right? There's no expired coming soon. Okay,
Thank you.
okay. The most important document in real estate, aside from the listing agreement and purchase agreement, the most important document, which actually has to be shown to a client first, is the agency agreement. If there's no agency agreement, then we are not entitled to a commission.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is basically it's a one-page document.
This is in the zip form, not the
It's in
MLS.
zip form. It's in zip form. Now, this used to be a separate document from so I just clicked residential listing agreement, and now this is attached to the front of a residential listing agreement. I don't have to worry about pulling a bunch of different
Okay, so it's
forms.
all together.
If you pull up residential listing agreement, all these forms are together, even though they're different names. So I'm glad that they did this, because if you forgot to include this form, you're not entitled to a commission if the commission's disputed. Okay, so basically, what is the agency form? It just says, hey, this is what an agent is. An agent is someone that represents you to sell a property or buy a property. There are agents called seller's agents. There are agents that represent buyers. And then the agent can also represent both a buyer and a seller. And in this framework, we're talking about the agent means the broker. Okay, so the same broker can represent a buyer and a seller. Responsibilities are always going to be truthfulness, right? We don't want to misrepresent or lie about anything. And in general, all the laws are always there to protect the seller.
Right.
Because the seller can lose a lot of money with an unscrupulous agent, right? So that's page one. Page two is the civil code that just says that this is the law, that this form must be presented to a buyer or seller, and it has to have certain language on it. So that's all that second page says. This is the language that needs to be on the agency form that gets presented to the public. There's also a form called Fair Housing and Discrimination Advisory. I mean, basically, look, we're not going to tell anyone that they're not welcome in a property, that they can't buy in this neighborhood. You can't do that. Like, anyone who has money, I only discriminate against money. Can you afford this house or not afford this house? That's it. You can't afford this house? Goodbye. You can? Great. Let's come in my office and write on. You can only discriminate against money. That's it. Nothing else. Possible representation of more than one buyer or seller. This is a very important document because it will protect you from any scenario. It talks about what happens, that there's a scenario where there can be multiple buyers for the same property. The broker can represent multiple sellers at the same time. Dual agency means that there are two agents or the same agent in the same brokerage that represent the buyer and the seller. Now, here is one that they threw in here. It says offers are not necessarily confidential. So what this means is that any offer that gets written, I, as the agent, have the ability to share that information with anyone asking. So if you call me and you say, JJ, I'm interested in your property, do you have any offers? I can say to you, yes. You can say, how many do you have? I can tell you I have 7 offers. The highest offer is for 1.2. And I can tell you every term in that office. I can even tell you the names of the buyers. I can tell you everything. There is nothing confidential. Now, as a negotiation strategy, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you I have a lot of offers. They're all really aggressive. Everyone is trying their best to get this house.
But you don't give them numbers.
I will not give them a number. But you're going to have agents all the time that try to say, what will it take? What will it take? Where do I have to be? And my response is, I know that the seller will take more than asking. Okay, I know they'll take more than asking, and you need to write your best offer. This is how you're gonna get the seller the most money. It's telling the other agent, is gonna, like a parrot, is gonna say everything that you say. Right? And I wanna be nice to that other agent, like, and they're asking for guidance, like, you have to guide me, you gotta tell me where to go. All I can tell you right now is that everyone is coming in super strong. We have great offers, all I'm asking you is that your client do their best. If your client does their best, you know, and they give it their best shot and they don't get the property, at least they know they gave it their best shot.
What if they say,
What's the highest offer on the table?
What's the highest offer on the table? I can't tell you that because we're gonna probably have a counter offer going out. And the number, even if I were to give you a number right now, it may not be the number
It
tomorrow.
will be final and best. It will say final and best.
So I don't like to use the word final. I'll use highest and best.
Highest and best.
I never use the word final.
Highest and best, yes.
Some agents will put final, and that could be a good negotiation strategy. I don't know.
So they would
Now,
best offer.
what usually happens is when you have a very well-priced property that attracts a lot of action, you'll usually have a couple of offers below asking, some at the full asking price, and then you'll have the other people that really set themselves apart. And those are the people that are really competing.
So those are the ones that are gonna get a counter.
Yeah, I mean, I
The other ones
like to
will-
give everyone a chance. So what I'll usually do is I'll counter in writing those people, just depends how many offers there are. And then the people, if my seller is like, look, I'm not wasting my time with these lowball offers, at least I will still have a conversation with their listing agents, saying, you know, this is where we countered everyone. Like you're not even in the game. You're not even in the game.
What are you gonna answer to all the cash buyers? Forget about the rest. If it's just cash, like 4 cash buyers, 8 loans, you talk to all of them or just only the cash buyers?
So my philosophy personally is that I talk to everyone how I want to be treated when I write an offer. So I do make an attempt to give attention to everyone. I do. You never know. I have some of the wealthiest clients that always on a lowball an offer.
I was just gonna ask about those kind of clients. They're capable.
I have clients that could buy anything, but they want to go in 50% of the asking price.
Wow.
And how do we handle that, JJ, when they say, yeah, like,
So,
No,
okay, so
they-
my conversation with my buyer, the conversation I have with my buyer is, what kind of message are you sending to the seller if you write an offer like that? Let's say you owned this property and you were asking this price and an offer came in at what you want to offer. How would you feel about that offer? Would you even continue with that buyer? My job is to win it. My job for a buyer is not to get them a good price. I'm not trying to get a good price for my buyer. I'm trying to win the property for my buyer. Once we win the property, then they can decide if the price is high or low or whatever. I need to get them the property, because if I don't get them the property, I didn't do my job as an agent. If I didn't get them the property, there's nothing to talk about. Right? I mean, you're not in the game. It's only the person who got the acceptance that now can inspect the property, right? Then, you know, if they think they paid too much, okay, look, there's things we can do. We can very, very aggressive inspections, and we can try to ask for credits for things or money off because we didn't know this. So any property that gets sold, it's sold as is. When you make an offer, it says in the offer, this is as is. What does as is mean? It means as is, you know the condition to be right now. After you inspect something,
Things come up.
things come up that you weren't previously aware of, and we can ask for that. Now, the seller doesn't have to agree to anything except the price, the original price that was accepted. They need to sell for that price, and the buyer needs to close escrow in the time that was agreed to. That's really it. The seller has to sell for the price they agreed to. They have to be out of the property by the time they agree to, and the buyer needs to close on time. So that's. So I just wanted to tell you.
So JJ, you were talking about the listing that said even if it's 10 days, I'll get the listing.
Because we're gonna get to that. Yeah, so offers are not confidential. be careful about wire fraud. I know it's a weird disclosure to think about wire fraud. Like how could that affect me or my client? There are hackers that hack into escrow's computers, escrow's email accounts. And the hacker will see a new escrow opened. They have control over the email. As soon as they see an escrow opened with a purchase contract that was sent to escrow, they will create their own wire instructions and send it using the escrow's email.
Wow.
So your buyer now received escrow instructions from who they think is escrow, and it's a hacker that sent it from escrow's email with their bank information.
Wow.
Okay, so what this is saying is, and you should tell your client, when you receive the wire instructions from escrow, just call escrow over the phone and verify the account numbers.
Yeah.
Right, so now I was telling this to someone like 5 days ago, 4 days ago, and she said to me in my office 4 days ago, she said to me, my parents lost $500,000 on a wire. I said, did you get it back? Did they get it back? No, they didn't get it back.
What?
They wired it to
They didn't?
fraudulent account.
They didn't call?
In my office 4 days ago.
Yeah. You can't recover it.
No, it happened a couple of years ago, but she was in my office 4 years ago. We were talking.
Does the FBI get involved because it's
Yeah, it's federal, yeah.
So you have to go, okay.
All wires are federal. Okay, here's the residential listing agreement. Page 1, be prepared. Now, you always want the beginning date to be today or the day that you go on your appointment. Now, again, this is usually going to be online, zip forms. You're usually going to have this signed over, you're going to usually email this to your client to sign DocuSign. But if in the case that you are together or you do need to explain it, I just want to show you what the listing looks like. We will get more detail into this. I didn't know it was a 2-hour class day. I love contracts. I'm all about contracts. I really want you guys just to focus on getting the business done. Because we will do contracts when their business is here. We can spend a year on contracts, like fine, but business is business. I want you guys making money. Okay. So the address is going to go here. The parcel number is going to go here. We get that from public records. The listing price. So, we're going to have comp classes here. I'm going to do all the time to show you how I comp property. This is very important that you have a attractive number. Compensation to broker. This is going to be where we enter 6%. And then down here is where we are offering to other brokers. So we're going to offer 2.5% in the MLS or 3%. So it's a seller agrees to pay as compensation, irrespective of agency relationships, either 6% of the listing price or a certain flat dollar amount. So irrespective of agency relationships means that this listing agreement is for 6%. It doesn't matter who represents the buyer, our broker or another broker. That's the total commission that's going to be paid.
JJ,
Yeah.
anything under 5%, we have to get approval from.
Yeah, and you're right, because
Rosales, right?
yeah, now we want our listing to be competitive in the market. We don't want agents showing other people's properties. So we really need to advertise that we're offering 2.5% to the buyer's brokers. Because if you as an agent have a buyer and you see everything's offering 2.5 and it's that house is 2, you don't really want to sell the 2, right? So, okay. This is the box that you were asking about. If within, say 90 calendar days, after the end of the listing period or any extension, even after cancellation, seller enters into a contract to sell, convey, lease, or transfer the property to anyone who physically entered and was shown the property, then you're entitled to your money.
Up to 90 days or?
Whatever you put in here, you can put 180 days in here.
Oh, okay, no, but if
This is why I don't care if I have a short, I do care if I have a short listing. I want as long a listing as possible, right? But what this is saying is, if I sign a 30-day listing,
right,
and then the listing's over, I'm going to give a list of the people that I brought there. every single person I brought or called me, I'm gonna give that list to the seller now. And now for 180 days, if any of those people that came to the property because of my marketing efforts go into contract, I get paid. Right, that's why that's what I was.
That's a good one. So
Yeah.
180 is common.
I think 180 is common. Yeah, I usually put 90, but I see a lot of agents for 180, a lot.
You can pay what percentage?
6%.
So you.
I
you
have
can
a
just-
question.
That's good.
You just,
Oh, I'm sorry, 1 second. Yeah.
you can just say 6%, but you're offering 2.5% to the.
Yeah, why not? Because I'm the one incurring all the
You're
marketing.
doing the work, yeah.
I'm incurring the marketing, the staging,
Yeah.
if all that money's coming out of my pocket, I don't, so what you'll see is sometimes escrow will send commission instructions. And the commission instructions will say listing broker 2.5, buyer's broker 2.5. Sometimes you'll get a listing instruction and it only says buyer's broker 2.5. And you're like, how come they didn't put both brokers on there? It's because the other broker got more and they're not showing you.
Yeah, but yeah.
They don't want you to get upset. That's usually what happens. Question online.
Yes,
Someone
so the question is the standard commission in California, is it 6% or 5%?
Commission nationwide. 6% is a standard commission,
And how
Okay.
about
Thank you.
dollar amount?
dollar amount. So you can do a flat dollar amount. You can,
Okay,
but you gotta be careful. I mean, you don't want to shortchange yourself,
no, some of the listings,
right?
when we're
Very
looking.
expensive, like.
Okay, so this also protects the seller because it says the seller's been advised of the broker's policy regarding cooperation. So, the seller wants to make sure that we're offering something in the MLS that's attractive. I mean, what if we take a 6% listing or 5% listing and we only offer 1% in the MLS? That's not fair to the seller.
But they're not gonna, yeah.
This protects the seller. It says that we're gonna offer this amount of compensation in the MLS. Okay, that protects the seller.
Would that be your standard then? Or would you,
I'm sorry?
how would you decide, how would you make the differentiation of offering 3% or 2.5%?
So what I'll usually do is when I'm looking at the other properties that are for sale in the area, I'm gonna look what they're offering.
Right.
And if everyone's offering 3%, then I know we also need to offer 3%. I'm gonna show my seller, look, everyone here is offering 3%. We have to offer that same, or we're not competitive.
Yeah, right.
And we're talking about 0.5%, 0.5% of $1 million, $5,000, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I mean, it's not enough money not to offer it.
Yeah, it is good.
Sellers representing they haven't entered into an agreement previously. Now, talking about that real quick, if the property, you guys are gonna go after expired listings, you're gonna deal with people who just had their property on the market to sell. If the property was previously on the market, you need to make sure that the previous listing agent didn't give a list of exclusions to the seller. Remember these 180 days up here?
Yeah,
I have a list now that I gave to the seller of all the people I brought in. If the seller signs a new listing agreement with another agent, and one of my people on my list wants the property, what's supposed to happen is the new listing agent is supposed to call me and say, I just received an offer from someone on your list. You need to take over now. That's what's supposed to happen. What usually happens in real life is that the seller might, at this point, hate me. I mean, this is like, I'm just talking like, this scenario. So the seller didn't think I got the job done, went with a new agent. And now there's a new agent they're talking to every day. What I'll probably do is when I see, so if I'm a listing agent and I talk to a seller and the seller has a list of people that were previously there, I'm going to call the old agent and make a deal with him. Why would I do that? Because I'm now taking the new listing at a lower price. I'm not listing the property at the same price. He didn't sell it at that price. I'm now going to list it at a lower price. I'm very concerned that there's an active buyer who just saw this house, and now that I'm putting my lower price on is going to come buy it. There's a possibility.
right.
So I'm going to call the listing agent after I sign my listing And I'm gonna say, I just signed a listing at such and such property. I just throwing this idea out there, you can take it or leave it, totally up to you. If someone on your list buys the property, I will give you, if someone on your list buys the property, I'll take a 25% referral fee and do the deal. If no one on your list buys the property, I'll give you a 25% referral fee,
Okay.
right? There's a very high likelihood that someone on that list will buy it. I'll do the deal for 25%, like, but I'm not out, like I won't be out everything. And then, so I'm either gonna make 25 or 75%, but at least I'm gonna get something. And the other agent at this point is feeling like, okay, now, if the other agent does not agree to this deal,
It's nothing.
I'm not gonna be encouraging anyone on that list to buy this property, right? Obviously. I'm
And you have that
controlling this deal.
list.
I have the list
Yeah.
because the seller gave me the list,
Okay.
right? Now, I wanna be clear when you guys need to give this list to the seller. It has to happen not later than the end of the listing period or any extension.
Which number is it? Sorry, I
So
can't.
this is where we put the 180 days in.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna have now a list of buyers that you brought through. That list has to be given not later than the end of the listing period. If your listing expires and you give it to them one day late, doesn't matter. It has to be given no later than the end. So the last day of your listing is when that email goes out. It has been such a pleasure working with you. I'm sorry that, you know, we didn't get into a contract as, you know, in the time that you gave me. These are all the people that I brought to the property. If any of them want to make an offer for the next 180 days, please call me and I will finish the deal. Right?
So if you don't send that list to the seller,
If I don't, then I get nothing.
Yeah, send it.
Now, what if the seller was given the list and didn't give it to the new listing agent? The seller is now responsible to pay 2 commissions.
oh. Okay.
So they have this obligation to send the list to the seller and.
That's to protect yourself.
Okay.
To protect yourself. Now, if I gave my list to the seller and it wasn't excluded on the new listing agreement, the seller didn't exclude those people. The seller is now responsible for 2 commissions. He's responsible for the commission he just signed is on the new listing agreement,
Right.
and he's responsible for my commission on the old listing.
Yes, yeah.
You have to prove that they received it.
Have to let them-
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for all the beautiful
Cigar. I
Thank you.
recognize.
stories.
Hello.
You were the best. My quick question is, if it's one of your buyers, however, they buy it under an LLC, how do you find that out? And how much time do you have to go back and make sure to ensure that your commission is protected? And thank you, and I adore you.
Thank you. So the only way to find out who's behind the LLC is to do a Secretary of State business search on the LLC and see if their name is public record. If they are using an attorney for their agent of service on the LLC, it's almost going to be impossible to find out who it was. And then as far as time, I'm not sure, that would just be the statute of limitations. I don't know how long that is. I don't know. But I would think that a broker would want to, or I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's really up to you how hard you want to press it, and you're going to have to hire the attorney to go after the commission. So, you know, that's really an attorney conversation at that point.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, additional items included, excluded, you can put them there or not. If you do exclude items here, you better be really careful and remember to put them in the MLS that they're excluded. But not only that, you better even be more careful that when an offer comes and you give a counter offer, that they're excluded in your counter offer. Because that's the only place that it matters. You can have excluded, if you put excluded here in the listing agreement and they're not excluded in the counter offer, the seller could be coming after you to pay for whatever it was, so just be careful with exclusions. If there isn't a solar powered system on the property, I would suggest that you try to get a copy of the lease for the solar, because you're gonna have to disclose it anyways. But try to get it so you can talk about it. You're gonna enter our MLS here, it's combined Los Angeles West Side. Clear cooperation policy for sure applies, so we're all clear cooperation. That means that we need to put our listings into the MLS within 24 hours. Unless we have that seller request to exclude form. So this is the button right here. So seller instructs broker not to publish the property to the public. If you check that box right there, it will automatically add the form that I pulled up. Seller instructs to exclude. Okay. Broker and seller duty. So obviously me as a broker, my duty is to market the property. The seller needs to allow me to show the property and cooperate with me. And they need to be honest with me, because they're making representations, which I'm also representing. So that's their responsibility. There's a thing here for investigations and reports talking about that the seller agrees to allow us to look, do order reports on the property. It talks about the possibility of dual agency with the buyer. Just depending on the circumstances, may be necessary for a broker to act as an agent for both the buyer and seller. There are a lot of, I say a lot, there are some sellers that will not want you to represent the buyer because they think that your allegiance won't be to them, right? They think it's a conflict of interest. You can't represent both the seller and the buyer. My response to that is that my job is to get you the most money as the seller. That will always be my job. And if I'm in a position to better do that, talking directly to the buyer instead of going through a middleman, then that's fine. I mean, that's actually puts you in a better place because it's just easier. Sometimes you'll have an agent on the other side that fights and fights for every single little thing. And it might be easier for me just to get you your number and make the deal smooth, right? But understand my allegiance is always to you as the seller to get you the most money. That's 100%. The buyer is actually at a disservice in that scenario, not the seller, buyers. Because the buyer may not be being advised of all the inspections that he should do or could do in that scenario, right? Photographs, so this is just allowing us to take photographs. This allows us to put a lockbox on the property, a sign on the property. If the property is in a trust, there's a place we can check the box. If it's a short sale, we can check that box. There is a loophole in this contract called management approval. Let's say we went on our appointment and we gave away the farm. We took a 3% listing at a way overpriced property. And we're so happy we got the listing and we walk out, we're like, what did we just sign? What did I just sign? Right? We priced it too high. We didn't get enough commission. So here, paragraph 20, management approval. If an associate licensee in the broker's office enters into this agreement and the broker or manager does not approve it, they have the right to cancel within 5 days.
That's great.
Right? So if you just
Any mistake?
went crazy, made a mistake, there's a 5-day loophole to get out of this.
Yeah.
That's really it. I mean, you're gonna look on title who the seller is. If it's in trust, you'll click entity seller. You'll say who the authorized signers are. If it's an LLC, they have a title. The title could be trustee. The title could be owner manager of an LLC. You will sign here where it says broker. There's the seller's advisory. That's really it. That's the whole listing agreement. So nothing to be afraid of. When we will have contracts that will go more in depth on that. But that's it. I mean, it's not. Yeah.
And are you gonna in the future like have like a fictitious contract that we can put
Oh, yeah, 100%. So I will actually upload that where you'll be able to access it.
all the days?
I will have a pre-filled in contract, how I fill it in.
Okay,
So,
Can we get the link again of the Google Drive?
so,
You go into the Keller Williams website, and then at the top you have helpful link, and then you can see. So where they say, where you have the calendar? No, I will show you on the computer.
yeah, so here, like the contract that I upload, I'll check this box seller. Right, and then I'll type like seller number one. So you'll know the name of seller number one. So you'll know that's how I'll upload it. So you'll know what to do. Any other questions about listings? Like right now, it's just about talking to people that are thinking about selling their property. We're gonna do comps, like I'm gonna show you how to do comps and how I comp.
So I have a scenario question.
Yeah,
Earlier you said if you have somebody asking you about where are the other offers at? You know, how can I win this listing type deal? And you're like, give me your highest and best, right?
so I am, okay, who am I in this scenario?
You're the listing agent.
I'm a listing agent and you represent a buyer.
Correct.
And you're calling me and saying,
I have a buyer,
okay,
love this property, we're willing to go to whatever.
okay,
How can I win this property?
okay. At what point are you asking me? Like, have I had an open house yet? Do we have offers yet?
You have offers, you have 3 or 4 offers.
Offers, okay, and
You're not giving me any direction. So I'm flying blind, but I won this property. How do I win it?
I really want to work with you. I hope you're the winning buyer. Please give me your client's best offer right now.
That's it.
Okay.
I really want to work with you. Let's make it happen. I'll do my best.
That's it.
Obviously, if someone's willing to pay more than your buyer, there's not a lot I can do for you,
Right.
but I really do want to work with you. And I'll try, I'll really try. You got to get me the most you can out of your buyer.
Okay, so then now flip it. How would you handle it if I was a listing agent?
And I'm trying to get the property.
Like, how would you structure your offer?
So, hi, it's JJ. I didn't know I was going this long. She's like, you're still going? I told her we were finishing. If my buyer gets this property, we're doing this deal. We're not backing out. We're not playing games. We're gonna get this deal and we're gonna finish it and take it to close, right? So where do I need to be to make that happen?
Give me your highest and best.
Okay, and if we come in at this number, do you think we can get it?
Okay.
Do you think we can get it?
I don't know. If I get another one, then,
If it goes to multiple, you cannot answer that.
Yeah.
It's like many multiples.
So where I'm going with this is.
No, keep role playing it, because so for me, I need to convince you that my buyer is the one that will do this deal.
Okay.
As a listing agent, I don't want to go into contract with someone and then they back out.
Mhm.
Because it like taints the property, right? All of a sudden it backed out. I have inspections now. I don't know what inspectors you're bringing to the property. They could be totally ruthless and making stuff up. There are inspections I've seen that are just made up, really. I mean, and then I have to have my own inspector come and counter all the damage that's been done. And then a new buyer has to compare they have to hire their inspector to compare the old inspection, my inspection, and now their inspection.
Yeah.
So a good agent will navigate that process, talk to the listing agent, find out what's really going on, and advise their client accordingly.
Right.
And say we have to make our own decision and actually sit with the client, go through the inspections. It's a lot of work for the agent at that point, but it's all about getting to the truth. So a buyer, the most important thing for a buyer is know exactly what they're buying. That's the most important. Yeah.
I've seen sometimes seller take offers, cash offers that are lower than loan offers. So it's not so much the price, it's the terms.
So
7-day closed cash is different than 45 days loan.
right.
It's 100,000.
Someone can close all cash in 7 days. That's a very tempting offer.
That's what I'm saying. So 100,000 more on a loan,
Now,
you're gonna beat that.
there are some sellers that are willing to gamble for the more money and the longer escrow with a loan. It depends on the seller, it just depends on the seller. So if you have a cash 7-day, I would say you need to be very careful with this, but I would say a non-refundable deposit released to the seller is the most aggressive thing that you can do. It's highly risky. Highly risky. So if I were to approach a property like that, I would ask the listing agent if he would allow, I've done this, I would ask the listing agent, will you allow me to inspect the property before we give our final counter
If
offer?
you're buying a property in the flat and you're paying 7 million, 7.5 million, and you want the property.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it
Correct.
has defects.
Correct.
You want the property in the flat, so it's understandable.
It doesn't matter, like, I mean,
To a certain
It's not gonna get,
so what goes in my head is,
we've seen property in the flat
Yeah.
sell over 3 million.
right, but what goes into my head is what could possibly cost that much money? Soil contamination.
Oh, I see.
What?
Soil contamination. What if there was a meth manufacturer that was dumping their meth chemicals in the backyard?
Got it. You don't know.
You don't know. You probably not, but I'm just like, I'm always thinking, what's the worst case scenario? And I have to protect my buyer. Like that, but I want,
Like a scenario, a few months.
we're talking a scenario where you're releasing money,
Releasing
non-refundable.
money, yeah.
Right, so I'm just being careful. So I'll say to the listing agent, would you allow my buyer to inspect the property before we submit our final counter offer? And then, once my buyer knows exactly what he's buying, he can do whatever he wants. He can pay non-refundable the entire price, right? I don't, that's fine.
Yeah, just-
Close in 3 days.
Like, be careful.
As long as the buyer knows what they're getting.
What they do.
So where I was going with my question and my
Yeah.
role play is de-escalation clause.
Okay,
How do you feel about that?
so the way that I feel about an escalation clause, so for everyone, an escalation clause is saying purchase price to be $1,000 higher than your highest offer,
Okay, good.
not to exceed a certain amount. There needs to be a cap on your clause, because if you just say 1,000 than your highest offer,
That's good.
all of a sudden he's paying $1 million more, right? So there needs to be a cap. So purchase price to be $1,000 higher than your highest offer, not with a purchase price not to exceed
Yeah,
blank.
that's smart. Yeah.
Okay. If you do that, you should let the listing agent know that you're doing it, not to play games. Because if the seller thinks you're playing games, you need the listing agent on your side to explain to the seller, this is a good agent we're dealing with.
Yeah.
He's not playing games. He called me and he told me that the buyer wanted to do this because they don't want to lose it and they are going to close.
Good.
You need the listing agent on your side
Makes sense.
so he can tell the seller they're not playing games, because the seller will think you're playing games.
Makes sense, yeah.
But also if they counter us, like they countering with multiple offer and then they are saying your highest and best and final, they are playing games.
It's not. I mean, that's how you get the most money.
Yeah.
Now, my wife will, if I write, like, let's say there's a property on the market 60 days and I write an offer and all of a sudden I get back a multiple counter offer,
Yeah.
right? And my wife will be like, that lying agent, they're lying. They don't have, and all of a sudden there is another offer. It happens all the time.
It happens
A
all the
property sits on the market forever.
Yes.
All of a sudden it's in
It happens
multiples.
all the
It
time.
happens all the time. You have to believe, you have to give the other agent some slack and
For sure.
don't not trust them.
Benefit of the doubt.
You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. If they're telling you there's another offer, you really should believe it. Because your buyer is gonna say, they don't have another offer. They don't have.
No, it happened. But if, like, some listing agent, they are not responsive that much. When you call, you cannot find them. I've tried like to
Yes.
call them and explain this
Be responsible.
plus.
So an offer should be presented to the seller unless, every offer should be presented to the seller unless the seller is given written instructions to the listing agent not to present it. We are allowed to request from the listing agent a response from our offer. We can sort of enforce it on the purchase agreement.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'll show you this real quick. We're done in a minute. On the purchase agreement. So again, this is the purchase agreement, and you see the first page is an agency disclosure, just talking about what an agent is. On the last page of the purchase offer.
16.
There is a box here that says offer not accepted. We can ask that get initialed by the seller.
Where is it? Where is it?
This is page 15 of 16 on the residential purchase agreement. It says offer not accepted.
Uh-huh.
We can ask that the seller initial that.
Oh,
If more than two.
No, I'm just talking about this little box here. It just says offer not accepted.
okay, so if the initial means they didn't accept.
There's also a box here that says presentation of offer.
Yeah.
Sellers, brokers presented this offer on. So the agent has to represent to you, if you really demand it, that they did present your offer. Now, the other part is this: if the seller did put in writing, I don't want offers presented to me under a certain amount of money, then they can provide that to you also.
For sure.
Right? But you can request that.
What's that?
There, and it's in the code of ethics, I believe, that you can request that.
How we can
Can I
request
ask a
this?
question?
We
Yeah,
just
sorry.
email them. We just email them and say, like, ticket and make your seller sign and send us back.
I mean, you would, at that point, like, there were 30 offers on the property, and you were one of the highest offers. You want to make sure the seller saw your offer.
Yeah.
You can send an email to the other agent. Can you please send me back the last page that the offer was presented so I can show it to my client so I'm not in hot water with them?
Okay.
Can you do me that favor, please? Right? And
Yeah.
then at least you can show it to your seller to your buyer.
Buyer,
The
yes.
offer was presented.
Yes, that's very important.
So the agent should cooperate with that. Hopefully. And you had a question online, someone? Online?
If they
Yes,
are
if the agent doesn't cooperate with that, and is there any way that you can push them legally or no?
I believe that it is code of ethics that they do have to cooperate. Is it?
You know what?
I mean,
Sometimes the listing agent is not
I mean,
responsive.
how hard are you gonna push? Are you really gonna call their office manager for this? I mean, I know it's upsetting, like, you didn't get it. You have to pick your battles. Is this the battle that you want to fight for? I don't know.
Yeah, I see.
Move on to the next property, because you're not getting that property. So, the only thing you're doing is causing trouble for that agent. You might need that agent in the future when they have another listing down the street and your buyer wants that one, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to do what's best for
and there
you.
is no way legally you can talk to the seller.
You cannot, okay, yeah, right. You cannot contact another agent's client without the other agent giving you permission. If the other agent gives you permission, then you can. But without permission, you cannot. So if my friend lists with someone else, and then I have a buyer who, I can't call my friend and say, I have an offer. I need to call the listing agent and say, I have an offer.
Yeah, but is there any form for that, or just a verbal permission or an email is enough?
There's no form for that. There is a form to request a in-person offer. To present your offer in person.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
I think it's a brand new form. It's a request to present your offer in person, I think. I don't know, sometimes the listing agent will agree.
Like the buyer agents present the purchase agreement instead of seller.
Yes.
So why would the seller have an agent?
So I was in multiple offers I represented a buyer,
Uh-huh.
a property on Airdrome. And there were other offers. And I asked the listing agent, can I present my offer in person? And the listing agent said yes. I went to the house and I had a copy for all three people, husband, wife, agent. I gave them all a copy and I went through the offer. And I said, is there a number that I can make a deal right now? Because they were in the middle of negotiating with everybody.
Yeah.
Is there a number that I can give you right this second that will make a deal? And they all giggled and said no, but thank you. My buyer was willing to pay 100,000 more than I got the property for them for. So they actually lost 100,000 by not giving me that number that night. They don't know that, but my buyer would have paid 100,000 more than they got.
Wow.
Yeah. So they loved me from that meeting and they went with me, but we were willing to pay more. Yeah.
Can you
just-
also take your buyer with you?
Not
Not a good idea.
So, okay, so just talking about having the buyer and seller in the same place, I don't think that's ever a good idea because there's no time to think about a question, how you're gonna answer it. It's actually a disadvantage for a seller because, and for the buyer, like the agent should be used as a buffer to give time to how to properly respond to a question. It's never good to off the cuff give a response. It's like when you're fighting with someone and you scream something and you say, oh, I shouldn't have said that. You know, it's the same kind of thing. Like a seller can really sell themselves short by answering too quickly. You have to be very careful how you answer questions. All right, my stomach is telling me it's time for lunch. I hope someone learned something today.
So JJ, do you think there's,
I'm sorry.
When will we be able to get the
Oh,
contract?
So I am working on uploading. I have a lot of stuff that I'm going to be adding to the shared drive that you'll have access to. You'll have access to a purchase agreement. You'll have access to a listing agreement. You'll see exactly how I fill it out.
Okay.
You'll have instructions, what to do.
All right.
can you do us those forms you had yesterday, the auction and everything?
Oh, leads? You want leads?
I missed you from yesterday.
Yes.
because I was like,
You want leads?
I couldn't get it on.
And I have a question also. I called all the numbers, so whatever say, can I look on this for a second?
Yeah.
Whatever say, sorry,
Sounds good.
DNC.
Oh yeah, I need to turn off the recording, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, don't do that.
Anyone that comes in person will get leads.
Yes. So just whatever is like